Alright, welcome. This is the last part of my Swim saga. There is definitely more materials to read. You can find them in the links in the description below. The reason I made all this was to document it, therefore, that's the reason I didn't put any of my opinions in the matter in the previous videos. Those are just documents, so they stay on the internet forever in case Swim tries to get rid of them in any way. So, first point to talk, I guess, what is Swim doing right now? Well, he hasn't talked since all of this came to the surface and actually deleted the second vote you watched in the previous video and some of his tweets that he made after the video from his Twitter. Therefore, instead of reacting, he decided to take the very silent route. The second thing is, I guess, how much of this is actually real. I can tell you that pretty much all of it is real. In the stories of the girls, there might be some things that are a little bit overpainted, I guess you could say. They added a little bit to it, but I can tell you that in general, most of it is most likely real, yes. And especially Amve, or MV, I don't actually know how to pronounce her name, and I'm sorry, deserves a big props. It was insanely brave what she did. Some people might argue, well, she did it to be famous, to gain attention from it. I can tell you that most of these cases that come out like this are not to gain anything. You're actually most likely stand to lose stuff if you do it this way. The way, if you want to gain something out of it, you do it through blackmail. Either illegal blackmail or legal blackmail. Legal blackmail in America, at least, is the settlements you know about, where a company pays someone to shut the fuck up instead of them suing them and shit. That's the way you make money out of this shit. And how you get most advantages out of this shit. If you actually come out like this, you're more likely to lose than to gain. Therefore, definitely do not blame Amve, do not blame the previous girls. Big props to her, especially because she was the first one to come out. And big props to Swim's ex-girlfriend we knew in Gwent. He called her Soundboard. I really don't want to use that name because from the story, he basically enslaved her and Soundboard was a slave name. So it feels kind of wrong to say that, so I'm always gonna mention her as ex-girlfriend from now on. It was horrifying, it was truly disgusting what he did. There are zero excuses. I mean, the excuses that might come up, A, he's ill. I mean, he is, but it's not an excuse. And B, it was his parents' fault. Which, again, it was, but it doesn't excuse him again. So, props to those girls. They carry no guilt whatsoever. I don't want to victim blame right now, but I want to make people more careful. So right now I'm not blaming them, the girls, for this happening to them, but there are ways you can prevent that. And the most important way is, if you decide to put your trust into someone, never base them based on their words. Anyone can say anything. If you judge a person, and by judge I mean if you judge them to know if you can put your trust into them, do it based on their actions, not based on their words. It's super fucking important. If you do that, you're most likely to avoid situation that happened with Swim and all those women. And you can see some of them actually managed to avoid him. But again, this is not to blame the victims, blame Amve or his ex-girlfriend. It is just simply, it is not their fault that people like Swim exist. It is just for your security, I guess. So let's do that. So I guess the next question is, who is to blame? And well, Swim, for 90% of what happened, is definitely Swim to blame. I'll probably just take it from top to bottom. So, like, the people that had the most influence on this happening and the people that had least influence on this happening. So, Swim obviously is the number one. He's responsible. He fucked up. His silence right now is basically confirming that it's all true as well. Very important to notice. I mean, like his videos, the VODs we watched weren't proof enough. So he's 100% the most to blame. His parents are definitely the second that deserve the blame. Mostly his father, as we found out from his ex-girlfriend's Twitlonger. Those people fucked up insanely, and they do carry a massive amount of guilt, or should at least. The third are the people in power who gave him power. And that is, of course, as we know, CDPR, Life Coach, for example, Riot, Evil Geniuses, Valve, and I believe Magic the Gathering had some kind of partnership with him as well. You might be like, well, they couldn't have. They did. All of them did. If you work with someone on this kind of professional level, you do know about his character. They simply chose to ignore his bad quirks for the amount of money they could make with him, or fame, or power whatsoever. All of these companies probably didn't know how fucked up he really was, of course. I mean, I didn't know how fucked up he was. I knew he's a fucked up person, but I didn't know he's capable of something like this. But that shouldn't excuse them from giving him power and for working with him. So these people also carry quite a big amount of guilt. Again, or they should. They probably don't. They probably don't give a fuck. So those are the next. The next ones are obviously subs and donors, meaning people who supported him financially, are definitely to blame only if they notice there's something off about him. Not everyone notices. I personally did, just from his stream back in Gwen days. It wasn't really hard for me, but I can read people's personalities quite well in general. I don't really know how most people are able to read other people. I really don't know. So if you didn't know, like you didn't see anything really off about him, like maybe he makes a bad joke sometimes, like offensive joke. I mean, that's not really a reason to judge a person and send him to trash. But like, if you saw something more off and you still decided to sub to him, donate to him, you are to blame. And lastly, obviously, it's his viewers, and it's the same case as with the donors. If you did notice something off and you still watched him, you are to blame as well. And you shouldn't have clear conscience. One more thing I wanna talk about is these now coming up statements from that we did not read, but you can. Again, link is in the description, from like Watchflake, Mogwai, Jaggerus, etc. All these statements, I must say, these people are not heroes, because what they literally admit is that they noticed that he's a fucked up person, but they decided not to say anything. Why? Well, as we said at the start of the video, it's because you lose if you do. I was the one who talked out against him in Gwent, and he destroyed me. He completely shit on me, he made fucking shitty memes about me. He just destroyed my Gwent streaming career completely, pushed me in a corner, and eventually I got banned from Gwent. And he did it intentionally, and he would do it with any of these people if they came out at the time he was in power. So, calling them now heroes for talking out, for example, Watchflake, which I can tell you, was a huge supporter of Swim back in Gwen times. Not just against me, but in general. And now he comes out as a hero who actually knew everything, and now he comes out and they're not heroes. They fucked up. These people are to blame. It's still good they did come out in the end. I'm not saying they're not. It's not. But we should not call them heroes. For sure, no. Not a single one. If they knew there was something fucked up about him, they kept it secret. They basically gave him the power to do what he did to Amber. And they should feel guilty, for sure. So that is also very important to mention. Alright, so now I guess the question is, what will happen, right? I mean, that's probably a question everyone's asking. Well, unfortunately, probably not much, or at least not as much as we would hope for. There will most likely not be any court, there will be no charges, Swim will not face prison or mental institution. Oh, that's right. That's also very important to mention. A lot of people, including Amve herself, is like, please do not be mad at Swim, don't insult him. I just want him to get better, to treat himself. He can't. That is very important to understand. He is a sociopath, he's narcissistic, egoistic, he has zero empathy towards other people. And he's quite old. I don't actually know what his age is, but I know it's around 30s. I can tell you if a child, I don't know, let's say 14, 15 years old, had the same diagnosis as him, even treating that 15-year-old would not be guaranteed to get treated. Because it is a very, very serious mental issue that Swim has, that he fostered for so many years. And chances of him curing himself are basically zero. He is doomed to be evil, I guess you could say. So, I'm gonna counter Amve's statement here to not insult him. I mean, sure, do not insult him, but I want you to make sure that if he anywhere, anytime pops up ever on the internet, you will be there and you will show these materials to people he hangs out with, so everyone knows. Because it's the only thing we can do to stop him from regaining power again, which he'll try. I don't think he'll try it on the internet. I think he'll do it in real life somewhere, maybe. I don't know what his plan is. The question really is how much money he has and shit. We do not know. So what will happen to him? Well, he won't face jail unless he does it again and that person decides to put charges on him. And honestly, even then, it would be very difficult to put him in jail because that's just simply how sexual assault laws work. It's sad, but that's how it is. His future highly depends on the money he accumulated. We cannot probably assume he has relatively enough, but without his platform, he is never gonna be as dangerous as he was before, and he needs it. He needs attention, and he needs power. If he doesn't have those, he is gonna fall into depression. Therefore, if he doesn't find a new way of conquering a person, as he did with these girls before, he is gonna spiral down into very, very deep depression that will either result him into killing himself or to just degrading himself slowly and just dying from natural causes. That is the most likely scenario for him. The second most likely scenario is that he does something worse. I know it's probably not what you wanted to hear. He might live happily from the money he accumulated for a couple of years, but eventually his own brain will catch up with him. So yeah, all we need to make sure is that he does not regain the power again, because it would have terrible, terrible consequences. And that is probably all I really wanted to say about this. He was a disgusting human being from the from the first fucking few weeks I met him in Gwen's streams. I knew it. I called him out multiple fucking times. No one supported me except maybe one or two streamers, but only through DMs. They wouldn't do it publicly, obviously, and I didn't name them or use their statements in my DMs because I don't do that. And a lot of fucking people giving him power on the other hand, like fucking the whole fucking CDPR, fucking Burza, fucking life coach, Kurokis, like all of these fucking people. It's sad. What you guys can do is make sure that if you ever see something disturbing like this person and you notice these dangerous traits, because now after you watched him, you should probably recognize it, right? You do speak out. And as I said, you're more standing to lose than gain, but you should. Because that's the only reason these people have any power at all. It's because we do not speak out. We keep silent. Because silence is just easier. You shouldn't. And I hope you won't. So, yeah, that's what you should learn from all of this. And the second thing to learn is base people based on their actions, not by their words. I can tell you anything. I can tell you I'm a multimillionaire and I'm flying with Elon Musk to the moon. Whether you believe it or not, that's the second part. But I can't fake my actions. Whatever I do is real. So yeah, don't put your trust in someone who just has nice words and never shows anything for it. Goodbye, Swim, you fucking cunt. Burn in hell, motherfucker.